Good evening, y'all. This is your man Deshaun BBN, and welcome to another edition of the All Cats Everything and Then Some podcast. That's cats, C-A-T-S, not caps, not cats, but cats. Hope y'all having a great Saturday morning. Saturday evening. I got a great podcast for y'all today. Now, I've had a few days to digest the last Kentucky game. I've had a few days to think about it, and now I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. I just gotta be honest here. Kentucky, y'all played like shit. SHIT, capital SHIT. Y'all was a big pile of shit against Evansville. Like, what the hell happened, man? Number one in the country. You beat Michigan State. You beat Eastern Kentucky convincingly. Then you come out there and shit a brick against Evansville and freaking lose 67-64. Like, that was just pathetic. I've I've seen a lot of bad games over the years being a Kentucky fan, but that was one of the worst games I've ever seen us play. If Evansville played a little bit better, they might have blown us out because they didn't play great either. They played kind of shitty too. They just didn't play as shitty as Kentucky did. May excuse the language, but it's the truth. We played horribly, and that's the best way to describe how we played. Shit. But you know what? It's woosah. It's still early in the season. I mean, we've only played 3 games. There's no reason to panic. This loss against Evansville is not going to hurt us too bad. Now, if we're a bubble team come March and we've got like 10 plus losses, yeah, this loss could affect us, but I don't think it will. And like I said, it's still early in the season. They're still going through some growing pains. Everything will be all right. Now, I gotta say, I love the Kentucky Wildcats. I love Big Blue Nation. But BBN, some of y'all be hitting the panic button a little too fast. It seems like every time we lose, even if it's a close win, close loss, excuse me. Even if it's a close loss, you got the BBN faithful like, oh, we gotta fire John Calipari. Why? Because we lost one game in November to Evansville. Yes, it sucks. We lost. I get it. It sucks. I hate it. I hate when we lose, but you're calling for Calipari's head after one game? Like, chill the F out, dudes and ladies. Like, it's not that serious. I mean, my only question is to all the BBN that wants John Calipari fired, who you going to replace him with, huh? Coach K is not going to leave Duke. The man's 80 years old almost. You really want to fire Calipari to replace him with a man that's almost 80 who won't coach that much longer? I don't think you do. Roy Williams is not going to leave North Carolina. So, who do you want, huh? Who do you want to replace John Calipari since y'all think he's not cut out for the job? Because I don't know who would come in and be able to do better. I mean, other than Coach K and Roy Williams, but that's out of the picture. But so who? That's my big question. Who? But you know what? It's cool. I mean, I ain't trying to change your opinion on John Calipari. I mean, you either like him or you don't. Now, me personally, I think he's a fine coach. I mean, I ain't saying he's the best coach in college basketball, but everybody talking about, oh, he can't coach. He's just a good recruiter. Yeah, that's wrong. He is a good coach. May not be the best coach in the country, but to say he can't coach is just wrong. Man, you don't win 700 plus games, nor do you have the longevity that John Calipari has if you couldn't coach. John Calipari has been coaching college basketball since 1988, a year before I was born. Now, he took a break and coached in the NBA for a little bit, wasn't cut out for the NBA, came back to the collegiate ranks. He's done a good job everywhere he's been. He turned UMass into a respectable program. He made Memphis a consistent tournament team, turned them into a powerhouse among the mid-major schools, and then he resurrected Kentucky. I mean, y'all remember how bad we was with Billy Gillispie? Do you want to go back to that? Because if we fired John Calipari and hired just anybody, that's exactly what the hell is going to happen. We'll go back to being terrible. We'll go back to losing 10 plus games every damn year. We'll go back to losing recruits, and y'all gonna be like, why did we fire Calipari? Well, y'all said he wasn't cut out for the job. So, yeah. Enjoy him while he's here, because when he's gone, I mean, who knows how good we'll be. But, Calipari, yes, eventually one of these days he will retire from Kentucky. But like I said, we gotta find the right person. We can't just hire anybody. Now, I don't know, Jay Wright from Villanova, I think he's a pretty good coach. I mean, he'd be a pretty good replacement for Calipari, but my only thing with Jay Wright is he's about the same age as Calipari. I think John Calipari is about 60 years old or approaching 60. So, I mean, he's not going to coach that much longer. I mean, I don't see Coach Cal being like Coach K and trying to coach till he's 80. Especially with Brad Calipari now, a grad student at Detroit. He probably wants to spend time with his family, I don't know. But before I shift gears, I got to give a shout out to the Kentucky football team. Beat Vanderbilt today 38-14. And holy fuck, we actually threw the ball. Again, excuse my language. I normally don't cuss this much, but I'm just glad we won. We played a lot better today than what we did against Tennessee, but the fact that we threw the ball, I was just like, wow, we actually threw it. What the hell? Maybe if we had done this against Tennessee, we might have won the damn game. We wouldn't be 5-5. Maybe we'd be 6-4 instead, but for whatever reason, we didn't change our game plan against Tennessee, but I'm not going to dwell on that. We won against Vanderbilt. We beat them 38-14. That is good. One more win and we'll be bowl eligible. Now, I don't think Kentucky's in any real danger of losing both of these games. We got Tennessee Martin and we got Louisville. We can win both of those games. I mean, we might lose to Louisville, but as long as we play better than what we did against Tennessee, I think we can beat Louisville. I think we can go 7-5, probably play in the Music City Bowl game again, but hey, a bowl game's a bowl game. I mean, I wish Kentucky could play in a better bowl game than the Music City Bowl, which is probably what we're going to get, but a bowl game this year will be 4 straight for Kentucky, which we haven't done that since Rich Brooks, I believe. It's been a long time since we've had 4 consecutive winning seasons. So, I mean, I got to give a big shout out to Mark Stoops. I mean, I know some of BBN, myself especially, got a love-hate relationship with Mark Stoops. One minute we love him, one minute we hate him, but you know what? He's a good coach. I'm glad he's at Kentucky. Don't leave Kentucky for Florida State. Please don't. But anyway, go Kentucky. Finish the season strong. We got you. BBN, got you. Anyways, now I'm going to switch back to the basketball team. Yeah, like I said, we played like shit. Some notes from the game. We shot 37% from the field, 24% from the three-point line. We had more turnovers than assists. That's a recipe for disaster. You ain't going to win too many games when you shoot 37% from the field. You're not going to win a lot of games when you got 13 turnovers as a team and only 6 assists. But, again, it's just November. It's only the 3rd game of the season. Everything is going to be all right. I mean, we've had some ugly losses during Calipari's tenure. I remember we lost 10-plus games back in the 2013-14 season. We made it to the NCAA tournament as an 8 seed, and we went to the championship. Now, I think this year's team is a little bit better than that team that was led by the Harrison twins and Julius Randle and James Young, but we got to start now. We got to start the improvement now while the season is still young. You don't want to wait till February and be like, oh, shit, we got to start playing better. We need to do something. No, fuck that. Do it now. Start the improvement now, and we'll be fine. I still think this is a team that can go to the Final Four, but we definitely got to fix some things. We got to shoot the ball better, especially from the three-point line. Now, free throw shooting was actually pretty good against Evansville. We shot 80% from the free throw line, but if we would have hit a few more of those free throws, if we would have hit some more three-pointers, we would have won the game. But I guess it wouldn't have mattered if we would have won the game, because as ugly as we played, we still wouldn't be number 1. Because, I mean, why would they keep us at number one when we had to squeak by Evansville? Now, obviously, we didn't win, but I'm just speaking hypothetically there. But, anyways, some good news on the basketball front. We got a commitment from Isaiah Jackson today, top 25 player in the class of 2020. Kentucky has the number one rated recruiting class again, thanks in part to Isaiah Jackson. Now, he's not the only recruit we got coming in. I mean, Cameron Fletcher, he signed his letter of intent. We got BJ Boston as a commit. We got Lance Ware, who signed his letter of intent. And we got Terrence Clark. Clark is our highest rated recruit. I believe he's ranked number 5 in the country. I mean, he's somewhere in the top 10 for the class of 2020. But, next year, yes, we'll be good. But I'm not going to think about next year. Right now, I'm only focused on this year. I'm only focused on Tyrese Maxey and Keon Brooks and all the guys that are here this year. I'm not going to dwell too much on next year's team. So, yeah, our next opponent in basketball, I believe, is Utah State or something like that. Somebody most people have never heard of. I think they're going to bounce back. They're going to regroup. They're going to win this game. Everything's going to be all right. Now, I know some of the listeners out there, I know some of y'all ain't Kentucky fans. I know y'all some haters. I know y'all are. Yeah, go ahead and get your laughs in. We lost to Evansville. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, I know. But just wait. Everything will be fine. Y'all ain't going to be laughing once we get our stuff together, especially y'all Louisville fans. Like, oh, man, I thought it was funny. The Louisville student section in their last game was chanting, "We're not Kentucky." Well, duh. We know you're not Kentucky. Y'all have lost to us, 12 times in the last 13 games? I mean, we lead the all-time series like 35-17. No, duh. Of course you're not Kentucky. You only got 2 championships. We've got 8. You'll never be Kentucky. I mean, it's nice that y'all got a little confidence, but you're still going to lose to us come December. So go ahead. Get all your jokes out right now. Because we coming for that ass, Louisville. Anyways, enough about basketball. Enough about college basketball. Enough about Kentucky. I know y'all want to hear the then some part of this podcast, so I'm going to switch gears on you. So, by now, I'm pretty sure all y'all seen that fight between Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. Now, Myles Garrett was suspended indefinitely, and rightfully so. I think David DeCastro and Mike Pouncey from the Steelers, they also got suspended. But Mason Rudolph, the quarterback who started the damn thing, he didn't get nothing. He just got a fine. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Myles Garrett shouldn't be punished. He deserves to be punished, and rightfully so. But Mason Rudolph started the whole thing. Myles Garrett sacked him, tried to pull off his helmet. He kicked him in the groin area. Like, are you seriously going to tell me that if somebody tried to yank your helmet off and kicked you in your groin, you're not going to try to beat him up? Yeah, you're not going to let that slide. Now, yeah, hitting him with his helmet was excessive. I ain't going to lie. When I saw that shit, it hurt my head. I was like, ooh, ah. I mean, I know Mason Rudolph was hurting, but none of that shit would have happened if you didn't start the whole thing. Mason Rudolph should be suspended at least a couple games since he started the whole thing. But unfortunately, in the NFL, it ain't about who started it. It's about who finished it. And Myles Garrett, he finished it because, hell, DeCastro from the Steelers and Pouncey, they were restraining him. But Mason Rudolph had to get all big and bad, and he started marching towards him, so Myles Garrett swung in and hit him with the helmet. Now, again, that was messed up, hitting him with his helmet, but I don't blame him for retaliating. I mean, I really honestly can't say I blame him. But, yeah, the Browns, after beating the Steelers, I think that pushes their record to 4-6. Now, they're not completely dead. They can still push for the playoffs, but they would have to win every game from here on out because 9-7 probably isn't going to be good enough to get to the playoffs. And it's going to be even tougher now that they don't have Myles Garrett. I mean, he's arguably the best player on the team, and he's suspended indefinitely because of that fight. But, yeah, I mean, I'm a Titans fan, so I really don't care about the Steelers or the Browns. I just hope my Titans get their shit together and make a push for the playoffs. I think right now we're sitting at 5-5. Our next game is against Jacksonville, I believe. Y'all better beat them because we played like crap last time against Jacksonville, and there's no reason why we can't make it to the playoffs. Our defense is pretty good. Our offense can be hit or miss, but if we just take care of business, don't turn the ball over, don't let the defense be out there for too long, we can go 10-6 and potentially make it to the playoffs. Like, come on, Tennessee, you can do this. So, I know by now y'all have probably seen a bunch of posts on Facebook, social, Snapchat, whatever it might be, about Disney Plus. Now, I just gotta say, Disney Plus is awesome. I mean, if you haven't signed up for it, I mean, you should get it. I mean, especially if you're a Disney fan, they got all kinds of good movies. They got some shows. They got most of the classic Disney movies: Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, which is my personal favorite. They got Lion King. They got Finding Nemo, Bugs Life, all kinds of good stuff. They got a good selection of Marvel movies as well. They don't have all of them, but the really good ones they got. If you want to watch Infinity War, you want to watch Avengers Endgame, you want to watch any of the three Iron Man movies, you want to watch the Captain America movies, they're all there. I'm telling you, man, Disney Plus is worth the $6.99 that you gotta pay. Trust me, it is. I mean, but if you don't want it, that's fine with me too, man. I don't work for Disney, so it's not like I'm trying to. It's not like I'm trying to harass you into buying it. It's either you want it or you don't. All I'm saying is, if you're a Disney fan, I would recommend it because what other streaming service out there allows you to watch classic Disney movies anytime you want to, whether it be on your TV, your tablet, your iPhone, whatever it might be. I'm telling you, it's worth it. I mean, even though now I personally haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure there's some people out there say, "Oh man, Disney Plus is not worth it. It's a waste of money." They're blah 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 blah. You know, yeah, you don't have to like Disney, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know about y'all, but don't y'all? Is it just me or people who don't like popular things? Don't you just find them MFers annoying? Like it's so annoying, man. Maybe it's just me, but to me, people who hate everything that's popular, that's just annoying. That's just lame. Now, I'm not saying you have to follow the trends. I'm not saying you have to like everything that's popular, but what I am saying is just because you hate everything that's popular doesn't make you trendy. It don't make you cool. It's rather lame if you ask me. Like the other day I was on Facebook and I saw a meme talking about shout out to all the people who didn't get peer pressured into watching Game of Thrones. I'm like, huh? Now, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like Game of Thrones is my favorite show of all time, but I didn't get peer pressured into watching it. I wanted to see it for myself. I mean, a lot of people on my social media feed were talking about it, talking about how good it was. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see this for myself to see if it's worth the hype. So I watched the first episode. Immediately, I was hooked. Now I need to get back into watching it because I watched. I mean, I watched it every day for like. I watched Game of Thrones every day for like 3 weeks and got to season 5. Then for whatever reason, I just stopped watching. But even though I know what happened, even though I know how it's going to end, I still want to see how it all plays out. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch Game of Thrones just so I can see just to see it for myself. But yeah, that goes back to my point about how people who hate everything that's popular, like you ain't cool, man. I mean, if you don't like Game of Thrones, that's fine, but don't try to if you don't like Game of Thrones, if you don't like Disney, if you don't like whatever it might be as popular, that's fine. But don't be a negative Nancy and try to talk down on people just because they like Game of Thrones. It's ridiculous. Woosah. No, I'm kidding. All right, so as y'all know, the NBA season is back in full effect. Now, with my previous podcast, I've done a top 10 countdown for each position. I've done the point guards, the shooting guards, the small forwards. Today, I'm going to give y'all the top 10 power forwards. Now, like I said in my other videos, this is strictly my opinion. This ain't ESPN's opinion. This is not Bleacher Report's opinion. This ain't CBS. Mine, Deshaun Hughes. This is just my opinion for the All Cats Everything and Then Some podcast. So, I mean, if you agree with me, disagree with me, feel free to let me know, because I mean, I'm just curious as to what y'all think. Because I mean, I most of my time on social media, I like to see what other people think about various sports topics, and so leave me a comment. Tell me who your top 10 power forwards are, if you'd like. Now, as with every other countdown, I'll start this countdown with honorable mentions. Now, so far, like I've said, I've done point guards, I've done shooting guards, I've done small forwards. Now, the power forward countdown, I gotta say, for me, this was the easiest one to do, because power forward is, I would say, the weakest position in the NBA. There's not a whole lot of star power at the power forward position. There's not a lot of young power forwards who have star potential. A lot of the power forwards in the NBA, either they're star players or they're role players. Not many power forwards are guys that you can legitimately build a team around. So this countdown was rather easy for me to do. Now, like I said, I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. The first one is Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic. Now, Aaron, he's good, but he's not as good as I thought he would be. See, when Orlando drafted Aaron Gordon, I thought he was going to be the next coming of Blake Griffin. But, I mean, I guess you could say he's a poor man's Blake Griffin. Man, he's athletic as hell to shoot the ball a little bit, but he's not as well-rounded as Blake. He's not as good as Blake as a scorer, as a playmaker, as a rebounder. I mean, he might be better than Blake defensively, but, I mean, I don't really watch the Orlando Magic that much. But on the bright side, Aaron Gordon is still young. He was drafted, I think, 6 years ago, back in 2014. He was only 18 when coming out of Arizona, so he's still young. I mean, he's 24 going on 25. He still has time he could still improve and become a star player, but the clock is ticking. I mean, you ain't getting no younger, Gordon. I mean, I know you're only about 24, 25, but you want to keep improving so you don't be stuck as just a decent player. My next honorable mention is Paul Millsap of the Denver Nuggets. Now, Millsap, I believe he's 35 now. He was an all-star player the 4 years he played in Atlanta. He was pretty good in Utah. Now he's with the Nuggets. He's not a bad player, but he's not as good as he used to be when he was in Orlando. Not Orlando. He's not as good as he used to be when he was in Atlanta or in Utah. As a matter of fact, he'll never be that player again because he's 35 years old. But Paul Millsap is still a good player. He can still give you scoring as a complimentary player. He can still stretch the floor as a shooter. He's still a good defensive player. Now, he's not an all-NBA defensive team caliber player, but Paul Millsap can still get the job done on the defensive side of the ball. The Nuggets, matter of fact, that was my pick to win, or my dark horse pick to win the Western Conference, if the Lakers or the Clippers don't do it. But, I mean, the Nuggets, they're good right now, but the Lakers currently sit on top of the West, and as long as everybody on the Lakers stays healthy, I don't think they'll surrender that lead. I mean, they'll probably finish with the best record in the league. If not the league, they'll at least finish with the best record in the Western Conference. My next honorable mention is Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, Jackson Jr. was the number 4 pick in the 2018 draft. He made the all-rookie first team. He showed a lot of flashes of brilliance during his rookie year. He averaged about 13 points, 5 rebounds. He shot 36% from the three-point line. He's good. I think he's got star potential. To me, I could see him being another Chris Bosh, but better defensively. But he's got to be more consistent on both ends of the floor, but especially on offense. Jackson Jr., his points per game is about the same this year as it was his rookie year, but the shooting percentages are down. But it's still early in the season. I mean, most teams have only played about 10, 11 games, so he's got time to get better. No need to panic. My next honorable mention is Marvin Bagley III of the Sacramento Kings. Bagley was the number 2 pick of the 2018 draft. He, like Jaren Jackson Jr., showed a lot of flashes of brilliance as a rookie and made the all-rookie first team. Now, Bagley, I believe, has played in limited games this year because of injuries, but Bagley, he's pretty good. I think at best he could be like a prime Amari Stoudemire. I'm talking like the Phoenix Suns version of Amari Stoudemire, not the Knicks version or the Heat Mavericks version. The Suns version of Amari Stoudemire. That's the player who I think Marvin Bagley can be if he reaches his full potential. Now, of course, well, not just with Bagley, but with any young player, he's got to stay healthy if he's going to reach that star status, and he's got to be more, I guess, more aggressive as an offensive player. Now, of course, you don't have to average 20 points per game to be a star in the NBA, but if you can put up those big scoring numbers and your team wins a lot, it'll be easier to get your name out there. Now for my last honorable mention, Kyle Kuzma. Now, Kuzma, I don't think he's got a high upside like Bagley and Jaren Jackson Jr. because he's a bit older. He spent 4 years at Utah, and when he got drafted, he was 22 years old. Now, I mean, I think he could be an all-star player, but a superstar caliber player, I don't think so. Kuzma, I gotta give him. He played great the Lakers' last game against the Warriors. I think he scored like 15 points and hit half of his 3-pointers. Now, Kuzma will definitely need to be a more consistent 3-point shooter. Because, I mean, we know he can score. We know he brings energy. We know he's not a great defender, but he'll at least try on the defensive end. He just needs to be more consistent on the offensive side of the ball, especially with shooting the threes. Now, I'm a Mavericks fan. I've never liked the Lakers, never will. But, I mean, Kuzma, I mean, even though nobody wants to admit it, the Lakers are pretty damn good. And as long as everybody stays healthy, I mean, they might just win the West, maybe even the NBA Finals. I know nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see LeBron win another ring, but it's coming. That's all I'm saying. And if everybody stays healthy, there's a good chance that the Lakers are gonna win the West, and maybe even the championship. All right, now that the honorable mentions are out of the way, I'm gonna start off now to get into the top 10. Number 10, I got a tie between Kevin Love and John Collins. Now, John Collins, he's made a name for himself for his athleticism. He was in the dunk contest last year. He didn't win it, but he put on a good show. He kind of got his name out there. But he's not just a dunker. He's a pretty good shooter when he's got space, a decent inside scorer, solid on the defensive end. Now, if he can be more consistent on the defensive side of the ball and he can refine his offensive game, he'll be a star for sure. I mean, him and Trae Young, yeah, even though Atlanta isn't winning a lot right now, their future is bright. And John Collins is a part of that reason. Now, I didn't want to put Kevin Love in the honorable mentions because Kevin Love is he's still playing pretty good. So I put him at number 10 with John Collins. Kevin Love is averaging a double-double this year, 18 points. I think he's averaging about 12, 13 rebounds. Kevin Love can still play. Still can get you a double-double almost every night. Still can knock down threes. Still the best outlet passer in the NBA. Now, when Kevin Love throws those court-length passes, he looks like a quarterback out there throwing a Hail Mary to an open receiver. Like, Kevin Love, he could still, if he was traded to a team that just needs one more person to put him over the top, he could definitely be that guy because he's got experience in the playoffs. He's a champion. He can give you a double-double almost every night. Kevin Love just needs to get out of Cleveland because he's pretty much just stat padding. But I'm pretty sure somebody will trade for him. If not at the trade deadline, he'll be playing for a new team next year for sure. All right. Number 9, Lauri Markkanen, Chicago Bulls. Lauri is in his 3rd year. He He's good. He's struggling a little bit this year, but I think as the season progresses, he'll be fine. He'll get his footing back. He'll be the player. He'll get back to being the player we know him as. Now, he might not be the best defensive player, but Lowry's a good shooter. He's a steady scoring presence. He's solid athletically. If the Bulls are if the Bulls are going to be a playoff caliber team again, Lowry will be a big reason why. Now, of course, I do think Zach LaVine is the best player on the Bulls, but Larry Markkinen is a good running mate for Zach LaVine. I think, well, for one, the Bulls need a new coach. Jim Boylan is not the answer. And for two, they need a star player. LaVine, yes, he's got star potential, but I don't think LaVine is the kind of player that can carry a team. Now, I think LaVine could be like a sidekick all-star player, like what Scottie Pippen was to Michael Jordan, or like what James Worthy was to Magic, or like what Dwayne Wade was to LeBron. You get the drift. I think Zach LaVine could be that kind of guy, but Chicago needs a legitimate superstar player to put them over the top because they've got the young talent. They just need the coach. Number 8, Julius Randle. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed this with my countdowns, but there's been at least one Kentucky player in every countdown I've done, except for the small forward. But hopefully, one of these days that will change. When I did the top 10 point guards, I had Jamal Murray in the top 10. I had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Eric Bledsoe as honorable mentions. When I did the shooting guards, I had Devin Booker in the top 5. Julius Randle comes in at number 8. Last year with the Pelicans, he almost averaged a double-double for the season, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Now, his numbers aren't like that in New York. He's playing out. He's doing good, but not like what he did last year in New Orleans. Now, Julius, my personal opinion, I think Julius is. I think he can be an all-star in this league, but I don't understand why he went to the Knicks of all teams. The Knicks was the worst team in the NBA last year. Now, I can't blame him for taking the money. The Knicks gave him a 3-year contract worth $63 million. It may not be a max contract, but $63 million is a lot of money. If you give me $63 million, I'll play for anybody. But Julius Randle, he could have got that same money playing somewhere else. He could have got that same money if he would have signed a contract with a playoff contender. He didn't have to go to New York to get that money, but hey, whatever floats your boat, man. I hope you go out there and do your thing in New York. But the Knicks are still a long ways away from being a playoff team, Julius. All right, number 7, Draymond Green. Now, when I do my podcasts, I try to be as unbiased and impartial as possible. But you know what? Sometimes I just want to be like, forget it. Show your biases, whatever. Say what you really think. And this is one of those times. Draymond Green, yeah, he's the 7th best power forward in the game, in my personal opinion. But I also think he's overrated as hell. Now, if I was to do a podcast for the most overrated players in the NBA, Draymond Green would be number 1 on my list. Dude is, I don't want to say he sucks, but Draymond Green is not as good as everyone claims he is. He's a great defensive player, don't get me wrong, but he only looks good because he had Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry to carry him. This isn't a new opinion. I've been saying this at least for the last 5 years, that Draymond Green is an overrated role player who's a product of the Warriors system. And if you take him off the Warriors and put him on a team that don't even have a star player, you'll never hear his name again. Well, a lot of people just say, oh, you're crazy. Draymond Green. Oh, you don't know nothing about basketball. Draymond Green is the truth. He's great. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He's great, huh? So if Draymond Green's so great, why is he struggling so badly? No Curry, no Klay, no Kevin Durant because you ran him off. D'Angelo Russell just got hurt. But yeah, you struggling. I mean, even before Curry got hurt, you were struggling. Like, I mean, if you as good as everyone says you are, you should be able to at least still produce, but you ain't. I mean, I'll give him credit. He did good last night against the Celtics. I think he had 11 points and 11 rebounds, but that is like one of that's like the only good game he's had this year. Well, actually, no, he had a triple double when they got their first win against, I believe it was New Orleans. But besides that triple double game and the game last night, Draymond Green has looked rather average. Like, he's overrated. Now, I'm not saying he sucks. I'm not saying he's a bad basketball player, but he's overrated. He's not a star. He's just a role player that looks good because he's got Curry and Clay to hide behind. I mean, as you can see, how bad the Warriors are playing, that Draymond Green really ain't that good when he don't have a star player around him. But I'm not trying to change your opinions. I mean, it's whatever. If you think Draymond Green is a star, I'm not going to stop you from believing that. But you're not going to convince me that Draymond Green is anything more than a role player. I mean, that's all he is a role player, a, a decent one at that. He's not a star. He's not a great player. He's just a decent role player. But anyways, moving along. Number 6 in my countdown, Al Horford. Now, for the first time in Al Horford's career, he gets to play his natural position of power forward. When he was with the Hawks, he played center, while Paul Millsap was the power forward. Well, actually, Josh Smith was the power forward before Paul Millsap came, but Horford always played center in Atlanta. Al Horford played center while he was with the Celtics. But now that he's with the 76ers, he can actually play his natural position of power forward. Now, even though Al Horford went to Florida, I mean, I like Al Horford as a player. He's a good shooter. He's a good passer. Can score inside. Has some versatility on the defensive end. He's unselfish. He's really good. Now, the 76ers, they were my pick to win the Eastern Conference. Now they had even though they lost Jimmy Butler, they brought back Tobias Harris. They brought in Al Horford. They got some decent bench players. I picked the 76ers to win the Eastern Conference. And for whatever reason, they're not playing as good as they could be right now, and they're actually kind of struggling. But I mean, if they get it together, everything will be all right. But you want to start now. You don't want to wait till the end of the season and you're still struggling and you barely get into the playoffs and get beat in the first round. But we'll see how the season plays out. Now for the top 5. Number 5, my guy, Kristaps Porzingis, Dallas Mavericks. Now, it's funny. When Porzingis was drafted by the Knicks and they booed him and whatnot, I said to myself, you know what? One of these days, he'll probably leave New York, and it'd be great if my Mavericks picked him up. Hey, sure enough, we did. We traded for Porzingis last year, and although he didn't play a game for us, I mean, I was still excited about it. Now, so far this year, Porzingis he's been good. He hasn't been great, but I don't have too many complaints. I mean, he's averaging about 20 points. He's averaging about 8 rebounds, almost 2 blocks per game. He's knocking down his threes. I mean, him and Luka, they got a nice 1-2 punch. But yeah, Porzingis, I mean, I just wish Porzingis was more aggressive in the paint. I just wish he would grab more boards and be the beast that he could be. Now, as long as Anthony Davis is still in his prime and playing at an elite level, I don't know. I don't think Porzingis will ever be the best power forward in the game. But Porzingis is still young. I think in a couple of years we might be talking about him being in the top 3. But for now, he's number 5. All right, number 4, I've got LaMarcus Aldridge. Now, LaMarcus Aldridge probably won't keep that 4 spot for much longer. He's getting older. He ain't getting any better. He's starting to decline. He's a liability now on the defensive end, but he can still go out there and get you points. I mean, he can still go out there and get you 15 to 20 points per game. Aldridge, he's probably the only big man in the NBA that can get away with not having a 3-point shot. LaMarcus Aldridge rarely shoots threes. He does all of his scoring in the low post or from the mid-range. Hell, he scored a career high 50, I think it was 52 points last year against the Thunder. He got all of his points from the low post and the mid range. Didn't shoot any threes to get those 52 points. I mean, that's still, yes, everyone loves the three ball and all that, but the mid range game is not dead. Thanks to LaMarcus Aldridge, as well as DeMar DeRozan and a few other players, but especially to LaMarcus Aldridge. He probably got the best mid range game in the NBA. Well, among big men at least. But yeah, he's still top 4 now, but after this year, he might not be in the top 5 no more. All right, so number 3, Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors. Now, me personally, I like Pascal. He's one of my favorite NBA players that doesn't play for the Mavericks. Now, even though I am a Kentucky Wildcats fan, I mean, I still cheer for my hometown team, Western Kentucky. No, Pascal Siakam didn't play for Western, but his older brother, Boris Siakam, did. So I got nothing but love for Pascal. I got nothing but love for Pascal Siakam. He was great last year in the finals. He made Draymond Green and the Warriors look silly. I think he had 32 points in game 1. I think he had like 25 in game 6. And he's playing just as great this year without Kawhi Leonard. Now, I didn't want to feel like I'm overhyping Pascal, but so far this year he's proven that last year when he won Most Improved Player that it wasn't a fluke. Pascal Siakam, as long as the Raptors keep winning, Pascal will definitely make it to the All-Star game this year without Kawhi Leonard, and he'll be an All-Star for many years to come. I mean, Pascal's good. I mean, he's averaging like 20 points. I think he's averaging 10 rebounds. I mean, that dude is, I mean, if it wasn't for a couple other power forwards, Pascal would be the best power forward in the game. He can score in the post. He can shoot it from mid-range and the 3. He can knock down shots off the dribble. He's a versatile defensive player, a good rebounder. Pascal Siakam, he's the total package. Now, if Toronto had another star to help Siakam, shoot, they might get back to the finals. Now, I figured Toronto would have a little bit of a drop-off without Kawhi, but they're doing just fine without him. Now, I don't know how many games Toronto will win this year, but they keep it up, they'll get a top 3 seed in the East, and it'll be because of Pascal. Now, if you haven't guessed, if you don't know who the top 2, if you can't guess who the top 2 are, I'll go ahead and tell you. Number 2 is Blake Griffin. Blake, he spent most of his career with the Clippers, but now he's with Detroit. Blake, besides durability, Blake Griffin's a great player. I mean, he may not be the best defensive player in the game, but Blake is a well-rounded scorer. He can score in the low post. He can shoot from mid-range and the 3. He's a good passing big man. My personal opinion, Blake got the best handles for a big man. I mean, I've seen Blake, he'll be dribbling, crossover, spin move, fade away. Like, Blake be looking like a guard out there when he handles the ball. It's crazy, right? But Blake is the second best power forward in the game. The only issue with Blake is his durability. I mean, it seems like every year something's going on with Blake. He injured his hand, he injured his foot, concussion, something. I don't know what it. So far this year, Detroit is struggling, but I think they'll get it together. They'll probably make the playoffs again. But yeah, you want to start now. So number 1, if you haven't guessed, is Anthony Davis, another Kentucky Wildcat. Yep. Best power forward in the game is a Kentucky Wildcat, Anthony Davis. Now, AD finally is out of New Orleans. He's now playing on a team that has some expectations. Now, I was looking at Bleacher Report's top power forwards rankings, and they had Anthony Davis at number 2. You want to know who their number 1 was? Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, yes, even though Giannis plays the 4, his normal position is small forward. So I was just like, why y'all got Giannis at power forward? But even if we would have considered Giannis a power forward, I would have put AD ahead of Giannis anyway. AD is a better scorer than Giannis, in my personal opinion. I mean, he's a better shooter. They're about even in terms of inside scoring, but Anthony Davis' ability to shoot is why I would put him ahead of Giannis. He can knock down mid-range jumpers. He can knock down 3s when he's open. He can knock down shots off the dribble, score his back to the basket. Anthony Davis, I mean, he's the complete package. Not only is he great offensively, but on the defense side of the ball, he's a great rim protector. He defends the pick and roll pretty well. He can defend multiple positions. And yeah, Lakers, they got a 10-2 record. A lot of that has to do with Anthony Davis helping LeBron out. Well, I don't know. Me personally, AD is the best player on the Lakers. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love LeBron. I mean, I hate that he plays for the Lakers, but yeah, AD is the best player on that team. LeBron, I mean, he's still great, but he's getting old. AD is 26, I believe, and still in the prime of his career. I'm glad he's now, even though I don't like that he plays for the Lakers, I'm glad he has a chance to finally compete for a championship. I mean, I hope he gets one because AD's, like I say, he's the best power forward in the game. He's a top 5 player in the NBA, and he needs to start building his legacy. He could go down. He's got the talent to do so. He's got the talent to be one of the top 5, if not the greatest power forward of all time. But you got to start building that legacy. I mean, rings aren't everything, but you know how social media is. It's all about the rings. You got to have rings if you want to be the greatest of all time, which I understand that, but you don't have to have the most rings in order to be considered the greatest. But AD will have to win something if he wants to get into that greatest power forward of all time conversation. And now is a great place to. Now is a good year to start. If it'll suck for the Lakers if Anthony Davis leaves, because he's talking about anything is possible going into next season when he becomes a free agent. Even going back to his hometown of Chicago, which I mean, AD on the Bulls would be nice. I mean, they'd be a playoff team, but I don't know if AD alone would be enough to get them over the hump. Because I mean, the Eastern Conference. Although the Eastern Conference ain't the better conference, I mean, the Eastern Conference has improved. The teams that are on top have retooled their rosters to where they can possibly compete for a championship. So, man, if you're gonna leave LA, AD, be sure to go somewhere where you know you can win. Hell, come to Dallas, play with Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, push us over the top and help us win a championship. But anyways, y'all, that's it for the All Cats Everything and then Some podcast. Next time y'all see me, I'll have the top 10 centers in the NBA and give y'all a recap of Kentucky's next game. Whoever it is we're playing, all I know is we'll win that one. It's your man, Deshaun BBN. Y'all have a good night.